First, we have to import the DHT library. Then we have to define the DHT pin number 2 that will be connected to the DHT sensor. Here we have three types of DHT, but we will be using DHT11 to make our data logger. For initializing DHT, we have to select the DHT pin and DHT type. Here we have two functions. One will be measuring the value of temperature and the other will be measuring the value of humidity. And before starting the measurement, there will be a time delay of 2 milliseconds, and the true value is passed so that the temperature is measured in Fahrenheit. And if there is any error during the measurement, this message will be displayed in the virtual terminal. And finally, the value of humidity and temperature will be displayed on the virtual terminal. HT11 sensor pin 1 is connected to a power supply of 5 volt and pin 4 is connected to the ground. Pin 2 is connected to pin 2 of the Arduino. This is for the data transfer. The TXT pin of Arduino must be connected to the TXT pin of comp interface module, and the RXT pin of Arduino must be connected with the RXT pin of comp interface module. And the TXT pin of the Arduino must be connected with the RXT pin of virtual terminal. This is for the communication.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Farhan Hasin Dipro and I have connected the data logger system UI in LabVIEW. So to start with, in the front panel, I've created a thermometer and a meter which are going to measure the temperature and humidity respectively, and the readings are going to display on these two waveform charts. And then we have a table with the following variables of date, time, temperature, humidity, and there are three IDs as there are three members of our group. So now if I go to the block diagram part, here at first we can see that the waveform charts of temperature and humidity are present, and the table where the output will be shown is present over here. Now before starting, there is a clear buffer which will then be opened and the values are going to be read over here. And since we have two variables of temperature and humidity, there are two read comments, and since the values would be read as strings, there are two string comments over here that will convert them into strings. And then over here we have a flush buffer, and finally we have a close comment and a simple error handler which will take care of any errors. And then we have a time delay function which will run or wait for every 500 milliseconds. And then we can see that there is a local variable of this table control over here which will show the output in the front panel. And since the values would be shifted after each loop executes, there are two shift registers at the two ends of the while loop. We have a string and array constant over here which is connected to the input shift register, and the input shift register is connected to the insert into array command, and the output of this insert into array command is connected to the local variable and the output shift register. And then we have a build array function over here. Array contains all the variables that we've seen in the front panel's table, which are date, time, temperature, humidity, and the student IDs of the group members. So at first, to read the date and time, we have a date and time function, and they are converted to strings. So we have connected both of them together over here, and the temperature and humidity values come respectively into their corresponding array slots, and the last three slots are for the student IDs. For the loop to be successfully executed, it has to be in false mode at first. Now to simulate the whole thing, if I run this, we can see the readings in the front panel as they're being generated over here.
Assalamu alaikum. I am Sheikh Saif Simran, and I will be representing interfacing and the virtual connections between the circuit and the user interface, or the GUI. So here on the screen we have both the GUI and the Proteus circuit. And now to connect it virtually, we have to create a virtual pairing with some assigned ports. That's why we are going to use virtual serial port driver. So we can see here is that we already created a virtual pairing between COM port 3 and COM port 4. So by doing that, we are virtually connecting these two entities together. That's because in our Proteus, what we did is that the COM port physical interface model is assigned with COM port 4, and the resource name for the GUI is assigned with COM port 3. So they're basically communicating because of the pairing between COM port 3 and 4. So when we run the circuit, run the user interface, we can see the table being populated with the required values. But when we start our circuit, we start to see the resulting temperatures and humidities. And to manipulate the values of both the temperature and humidity, we can go back to our circuit and use the DHT model to vary the various values. Just to do that, let's say we are selecting the humidity and increasing it by a fair margin. We took it to 90, and from the graph we can see that the escalation is happening visually. And to change the temperature, increase it by dialing up the temperature, and from that we can see a, a nice increase in the graph of the temperature. But if we keep on increasing, the temperature will correspondingly increase. So this is our whole take on the lab task. Thank you.